Hello and welcome back. So, today we're tackling the topic that can make or break any partnership, conflict. Specifically, the problem where you feel like you and your partner are constantly fighting, and every disagreement just spirals out of control. If you've ever found yourself thinking, why are we fighting so much? Why can't we just talk about this like two rational adults? Then this video is for you. This kind of chronic, exhausting conflict isn't just a sign that you have disagreements. It's a sign that you have a destructive conflict cycle. Now, we need to start by understanding that conflict is normal. It's unavoidable. If you have two separate people with two separate minds, two separate histories, two sets of needs, and two different levels of stress, you are going to bump up against each other. A healthy relationship is not one without conflict. It's one that has a healthy process for managing it. So, when we talk about destructive fighting, what we're really talking about are specific negative behaviors that psychologists call the 4 horsemen of relationship apocalypse. These are the behaviors that predict relationship failure. It's important to identify them in yourself and your partner. The first is criticism. This is attacking your partner's character instead of the behavior. Instead of saying, "I'm frustrated you didn't take out the trash," you say, "You are so lazy. You never contribute anything to this house." That attacks who he is. The second is contempt. This is criticism with added disgust. It involves rolling your eyes, sighing heavily, sarcasm, and using a tone that suggests you feel superior to your partner. Contempt is poison. It's the number one predictor of divorce. The third is defensiveness. This happens when you're unwilling to accept any responsibility, and you immediately counterattack. When he says, "You forgot to pay the bill," you snap back with, "Well, you forgot to call the plumber last week." You deflect rather than listen. And the fourth is stonewalling. This is the emotional shutdown. One partner completely withdraws, ignores the other, and creates a wall, refusing to engage further. This can be leaving the room, scrolling on a phone, or just going totally silent. This silence feels devastating and controlling to the partner who is trying to resolve the issue. Now, if you recognize these patterns, you are not doomed, but you do have to commit to change. The core solution here is learning how to de-escalate the fight before it hits the point of no return. You need to identify your personal flooding point. Flooding is the psychological term for when your body is so overwhelmed by stress, hormones, adrenaline, and cortisol that your logical brain literally shuts down. You can no longer think clearly. You can only react. When this happens, conflict resolution is impossible. You might say things you don't mean. You might yell or you might shut down. So here's the crucial step. When you feel your heart rate rising, when your palms get sweaty, when your voice gets louder, or when you start thinking a contemptuous thought, you must call a timeout. This is a non-negotiable relationship rule. You and your partner must agree in advance that either of you can call a pause on the fight. You use a neutral phrase like, "I need a 20-minute break," or "I'm feeling flooded. Let's circle back in an hour." Then here's the important part. You take a true break. You don't sit in the same room stewing. You leave, you go for a walk, you listen to calming music, or you practice square breathing. You literally need to physically calm your nervous system so you can return to the conversation with your logical brain back online. When you return, you use a technique called the gentle startup. This is how you introduce the problem without triggering defensiveness. Instead of starting with one of the 4 horsemen, you use the XYZ formula. You say, when you do X specific, observable behavior, I feel Y, your emotion. And what I need is Z, a positive request. For example, instead of "You're always late," you say, "When you are 30 minutes late, X without texting me, I feel unimportant and anxious. Y. What I really need is for you to send a quick text update when you know you're running behind Z." This gentle approach forces you to focus on the behavior and the solution, rather than the person. It turns a fight into an issue-solving meeting. Finally, we have to talk about repair attempts. This is the secret weapon of happy couples. A repair attempt is any statement or action, whether it's a joke, an apology, a change in tone, or a touch that attempts to de-escalate the tension and prevent things from escalating out of control. If you're arguing and you suddenly say, "Hey, wait, I'm being defensive. I'm sorry," or you make a silly face, or you reach out and touch his arm and he accepts, that a repair attempt, you have successfully stopped the downward spiral. You have to be willing to accept responsibility for your part, even if it's 10%, and offer a genuine repair. And he has to be willing to receive it. So, to summarize the steps for breaking the fight cycle, Identify the 4 horsemen. Stop using criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Call a timeout. Agree on a pause when either partner feels flooded to regulate your nervous system. Use the gentle startup. Return to the conversation using the I feel Y when you do X and I need Z formula. Be patient, be kind to yourself, and be consistent in practicing these new techniques. Let me know in the comments below which of the 4 horsemen is the hardest for you to avoid when you are fighting. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.